this time, John Nowak, incoming Senior Vice Commander for Post 105, will introduce the historian of the City of Fayetteville, John Lynch.
Thank you, Commander. Mayor Steele, Representative Ramsey, ladies and gentlemen, veterans, family, and friends. I have the distinct honor and privilege to introduce a man who was well known in Fayette County. As a matter of fact, his family has lived here for 6 generations. John W. Lynch. John is a life member and past president of the Fayette County Historical Society. He's a member of the General Lafayette McCaw's Camp Sons of Confederate Veterans. He holds membership in the General Hardy Chapter Sons of the American Revolution. He's a distinguished scholar and the official historian for the City of Fayetteville, and is the author of the Dorman Marshbourne Letters with brief accounts of the 10th and 53rd Georgia Regiments, Confederate States of America. He currently manages the Holiday Dorsey Fife House Museum here in Fayetteville. He is married to the former Brenda Mann, and they have 2 daughters, Karen and Carla, and 3 grandchildren. In June of 2008, John is scheduled to receive the Jefferson Davis Award from the United Daughters of the Confederacy, their most prestigious award. Let's give a warm welcome to John Lynch.
I appreciate that kind introduction, and I'm very honored to be here today to talk to you a little bit about the cemetery. It's very dear to me because I have many relatives buried here. As you all know, we're gathered here today to honor our fallen war heroes and deceased veterans. It is very appropriate that you have chosen this place to do this. This is a sacred place. The cemetery can be traced back to 1823 when the city limits were surveyed and laid off. This stretch of land was along the westernmost bounds of the city along a landlocked line. That landlocked line runs roughly along a cord where the 2 magnolia trees are. If you extended that line, that would be the landlocked line and the furthermost bounds of the city. In 1887, the cemetery was expanded further west with 2 additional acres donated by a benevolent citizen, Mr. L.F. Blaylock. This addition made it possible for African Americans to have plots in the city cemetery. In case you are wondering, the cemetery is still being used. However, there are no lots available. They're all taken up by old families of the area. Some of the people buried here were born before the American Revolutionary War began in 1776. There are veterans buried within these bounds from almost all of America's conflicts. The early Indian Wars, Mexican War, War between the States, Spanish-American War, World War I and World War II, Korea and Vietnam. There are 2 widows of American Revolutionary War soldiers buried here, one being the grandmother of Doc Holliday of Old West fame. Margaret Mitchell's great-grandfather is one of the Indian War veterans buried here. To mention an entire list of veterans buried here would take more time than allowed for this service. But whether it is Confederate soldier William H. Wooten, whose stone reads, "Killed near Atlanta by a shell while nobly defending his country, August 17, 1864," or Thomas Kitchens of the Spanish-American War, or Paul Mullins, a sergeant of a machine gun battalion from World War I, or Thomas Jeff Lunsford, who led a prison escape from the Germans in 1945, or Horace Custard Mize, another German POW captured during the Battle of the Bulge, or PFC Jerry Detmarine, killed in Korea, or Tom Murphy, a member of 4th Casual Company in World War I, or Ray Neal, United States Navy, World War II, or Thomas Murphy, a U.S. Marine in Korea, or Clifford Watkins, an Air Force Sergeant in Vietnam, or any of the other brave, selfless souls who sacrificed a part of their lives, along with those who made the ultimate sacrifice. We are greatly indebted to them and honor them today. As you leave this service, walk about the cemetery and take notice of the many flags dotting the grounds today. Say a quiet little prayer for those whose stones are decorated with those flags. This is a duty of us as Americans, and it should be an honor. The history of Memorial Day goes back to the war between the states, when in various instances, Southern women began decorating the graves of individual fallen family members with flowers even before the end of the war. Mr. Nevis has told us of one version of the beginnings of Memorial Day. Another version took place in Columbus, Georgia, just south of us, when a widow and a child began decorating their fallen family member with flowers. That's actually during the war. They would also pluck the weeds from nearby soldiers' graves and place flowers on them. The version that Mr. Nebus gave us is interesting because the ladies, after decorating the graves of the Confederates who had been killed in the Battle of Shiloh, were very upset that Union graves nearby were being neglected. So they decorated those also. A National Memorial Day was proclaimed on May 5th, 1868 by General John A. Blackjack Logan, commander of the Grand Army of the Republic, a Union veterans organization. It was originally called Decoration Day and was first observed on May 30th, 1868, when flowers were placed on both Union and Confederate graves in Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia. National Memorial Day was picked up in the South, including Fayette County, after World War I to honor all Americans who died fighting in any war. It has been accompanied by the wearing of poppies handed out by the American Legion. I remember helping do that as a child here in Fayetteville. The tradition of wearing poppies came about in 1915, inspired by a poem by Monia Michael. We cherish too the poppy red that grows on fields where valor led. It seems to signal to the skies that blood of heroes never dies. Today, Memorial Day in Fayetteville, Georgia takes on a broader scope than it did back when it was started in 1868. Today, we decorate the grave sites with flowers and flags. The flags are symbols of liberty and freedom, causes for which our military people fought and died for. Today, we honor all of our military heroes, not only those who died in combat, but all of those who have gone on to the hereafter. It is my hope that this tradition goes on for many years to come. Finally, I want to leave you with this thought. In 1870, Morgan H. Looney, a former professor of the Fayetteville Academy, was giving a eulogy for General Robert E. Lee in a packed house in Gilmer, Texas. Within that speech, Mr. Looney made the following observation: the refinement, the civilization, and the humility of a people are indicated by the tributes of honor they bring to the memory of the dead. That statement still applies today. I think Mr. Looney would be very proud of the people of his hometown of Fayetteville, Georgia. I know I am. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very fortunate to have had the heroes that we honor today. We are fortunate to have the American Legion post here that sees to it that these veterans are honored. And we're blessed indeed to have you here today to carry on that tradition. Thank you very much.